Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. We've got Liam with me.
Hey guys.
And we are, of course, at Wimbledon, on site, live coming to you. And we've just come out of Jannik Sinner's press conference. We'll touch upon that in a second. We managed to get 3
out of the 4.
Out of the 4 press conferences.
Yep.
We got questions to 3 out of the 4 players, which is a really good day. Of course, 2 very big semi-finals, and we've got Jannik Sinner versus Carlos Alcaraz in the final, which is going to be blockbuster on Sunday, which is just huge. A replay of the Roland Garros final, which only from a few weeks back, which was one of the best 5-set matches, you might say ever. It depends on what you like to think is your best and historic matches. But before we do get into nitty-gritty, of course, this podcast is sponsored by Nick Rivet Sport. Do check them out in the description of this YouTube video or podcast, whatever you're listening or watching on. Check them out for any of your racket needs. They also have a great online racket demo service, which I myself have used. So yeah, I can recommend them very highly because they have great customer service. Okay, let's get into it. So Liam, we've just come out of Jannik's press conference.
Yep.
So that's fresh. Shall we touch upon Jannik versus Novak?
Sure.
And also the pressers?
So yeah, Jannik versus Novak, I think, was the most highly anticipated match of the day. Coming into the day, you spoke to anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
Sure, Carlos and Fritz were playing, but everyone was talking about, Jannik versus Novak.
Yeah.
That was the match everyone wanted to watch.
Yeah. Can Novak do it, basically?
Can Novak do it?
Yeah.
Is Jannik, he performed very well against Ben Shelton, but, we're talking about Novak Djokovic here.
Yeah.
Different story.
The Dimitrov cloud as well.
Yeah, exactly. But also we had the sort of scare of, Novak not actually practicing yesterday, cancelling 2 practices, but then he came to practice this morning. I mean, it was very much one-sided from the get-go. Jannik got that early break in the first to go up 2-1 and then sort of steamrolled through the first 2 sets.
Yeah.
Novak took a medical timeout between the second and the third set, but then he came out in typical Novak fashion at times where, he seems like he's down and out with an injury or something like that. But then he took 3 games in a row to go up in a lead. Everyone was like, tide turning maybe we'll get a 4-set match instead. No, Jannik went straight back into business mode, got the break back pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
Got himself back on serve and then just got the match done in straight sets, just under 2 hours, 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. What was most impressive about that match was Jannik was just leading in every single category there. There was nothing that Djokovic did other than hitting 0 double faults compared to Jannik's 2 that made him be on top of the match.
Yeah.
Novak did come into the presser pretty much instantly after the loss, like within 20 minutes after losing.
Yeah.
And he was very much of the opinion of, he didn't say it this bluntly, but he sort of implied it. He was like, not Sabalenka style, but, I wasn't at my best coming into this match. So what can I expect from myself?
Yeah, he essentially just alluded to as well, which is I haven't heard him allude to this at any point in his career until today. But he mentioned the age factor and essentially said that it's not a surprise that my body is breaking down at my age.
And he was saying also, I challenge anyone, any player on the tour, to show me that they are working harder to keep their body in shape than I am.
No one is, because we see him even at Arangi, right? Yeah. He comes, Carlos and Jannik, they still do their stretches, whatever, and we don't know what they do off site as well before they come. But when Novak comes, he does a good half an hour, 45 minutes of stretching, light warm-ups, and like whatever other work as well before doing it.
I think he's doing that there, but I think he's also spending 2 hours on the table at his house before even getting there.
Yeah.
So you have to
yoga
think,
and all sorts.
you have to think he's spending at least 2 or 3 hours before he gets on court.
So I think he said he said I spend so much time each day keeping myself
I think he spends
good
at
nick.
least 2 to 3 hours before getting on court, even for practice.
Yeah.
Getting himself ready. Then obviously before the match he probably does some more stuff as well behind closed doors. And then afterwards, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So he's definitely spending another hour or 2.
Yeah.
That's why we see him sometimes coming into these press conferences like 2 hours after his match.
Yeah, because he's doing all the warm down and he's getting massages and a physio and all sorts. And I think what was really interesting is the presser is just it was almost not just admitting to us, but admitting to himself that age is catching up to him.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I said this to you a couple of days ago or yesterday as well, and I said, surely at some point, every time I watch him, I just think, surely age is catching up to him at some point.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that today he acknowledged that he was off the pace, literally, with Yannick, because Yannick is just physically more of a beast than him at the moment. Because at 38 years of age, there's not much else he can do. Yes, he might have been slightly injured, fine, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the match. I mean, he hit 12 aces today. Like
that slider out wide
is killer, and we know that at Wimbledon.
But he was also doing
killer.
On the ad side. He was hitting a fair few serves down the tee.
He mixed up nicely.
Basically, were aces.
Yeah, unreturnables. Yeah,
yeah. I think. Yeah, I agree with what you said. Even if he was at 100%, I think Yannick would have still won. But also,
listen to this stat. So you were talking about the stats, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Novak, first serve percentage 67%, great. Okay, first serve points won 77%. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But on second serve, 17% of second serve points won. That's 17.
But that's the thing. It's like Yannick returns so well. He's the mini Novak.
But Yannick was just murdering his second serve. Murdering it.
We've seen Yannick. He works so tactically in those practice sessions that he knows exactly what he needs to do for a different style. Yeah. We saw him play this morning, working a lot on the backhand to backhand rallies, opening up the rally
and going line,
throwing in the slice in there, and just really trying to take the ball on an attacking way, even if it is coming very low to him.
What was interesting as well in those drills, I felt like he was going a lot into the forehand of Novak. He was going forehand cross a lot, he was going backhand line a lot, and it was almost in his mind he was thinking that, okay, Novak can absorb pace really well on his backhand, but on the forehand side, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
On the run, moving at his age as well. And what I think impresses me so much about that second serve stat is actually that we were watching, right, and we were trying to get the speeds.
Yeah, we played a little mini game
for the Novak Sinner match, and Novak doesn't just hit 80, 90 mile per hour second serves.
No, he was going for it.
He was hitting a lot of second serves,
117,
over 110. Yeah. Some he was actually hitting as first serve, even at 120 plus.
We've seen him do that a lot, though.
No, but the fact, what I'm trying to say is that we'll touch upon Alcaraz and Fritz in a bit, but one of the points that Fritz mentioned about how Carlos is really tough to return against is because he mixed it up. Novak was doing that on second serve, yet he only won 17% of second serve points, which is absolutely ridiculous. It just shows how good Yannick was able to read the serve and just react to it. It's just phenomenal.
I think that brings in a point for the Novak, for the Carlos Yannick match. Novak, yes, he was upping the pace on the second serve quite a bit.
Yeah.
But he wasn't bringing too much variation to it, I find.
Yeah, not.
I think we knew most likely he was going slider out wide on the juice side.
Yeah.
Down the tee on the ad side, maybe body on the ad side. He wasn't going too far out wide on the ad side. So he did it a couple times.
But that's on the first serve, though.
On the first serve. But on the second serve, he wasn't throwing in huge kicks or anything like.
Yeah, I mean, he's never had a huge kick serve.
But like Carlos can bring a little bit more variation into the serve.
Yeah.
That I think will make him struggle with the return.
I mean, Carlos serves bigger than Novak right now. Yeah. He's been hitting spots well. We'll touch upon that in a second as well. And obviously, just for your guys' knowledge as well, we will preview the Alcaraz Sinner match in a lot of detail tomorrow as well on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Yannick was just too strong today, like way too strong. Novak said himself, he essentially said in the press he didn't want to sit there and whine about himself being injured and take away credit from Yannick. But he said, look, interestingly, he didn't just say that Yannick and Carlos were a level above. He said they are several levels above. And interestingly, actually, someone should have asked him the fact that he completely disregarded Taylor yesterday or the day before, but he'll probably turn around and say, well, I was right. so look, I was right in the end. But look, I mean, I think was quite annoyed just with the situation, understandably. He gave pretty good answers. I think at times, understandably, a little bit edgy. And again, to the moderator, he said, like, I just want the questions to be asked because he didn't want to go over how the match had gone again, which is understandable. He is the only one we didn't get a question to.
Yannick, you have to think though that press conference today
It was
for
rammed.
Carlos and Novak
Were rammed.
was at least 150 people.
Yeah, it was so, and people were standing. So, like, just for you guys, so you know, you don't see it because you only see the front part of the media theater. But there's a number of rows and seats in the media theater. But like Liam was saying, it was so jam packed that there were people literally standing at the back and on the sides for both Carlos and Novak. And normally, you only get that in the final.
Yeah.
And let me rephrase, and unfortunately it's the case, and it's just one of those things. It's not to do with any quality, but unfortunately it normally only happens on the men's final. So that happened last year in the men's final. The women's final is quite busy, don't get me wrong, but normally this type of busyness...
It's going to be super busy on Sunday.
And it's going to be packed. So we will fight and do our best to get you guys questions. But the positive news from today is that Liam did get a question to Yannick. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and also his presser as well, what he said?
Yeah, I mean, he basically came in and everyone was just asking about, Carlos this, Carlos that. And, that's all great and well because obviously it's going to be another amazing final and they're coming off of that Roland Garros final, which was one of the best matches of all time. Yeah. But no one asked him anything about Novak. So I said, you've now beaten Novak 5 times in a row, which only Rafa Nadal has ever done.
Yep.
What do you think you've changed in your game, or what have you changed in your game that's allowed you to turn that head around? Because obviously Novak used to basically dominate Yannick. And he says, well, I think it's a lot to do with the fact that I'm experiencing a lot more new things. My physicality's gone on a lot better. And, growing up, I've played a lot with Novak, even in practices, even before being professional. So it's helped him sort of develop that game skill and steal a little bit of experience from these types of big name players. Yeah. And it's put him in a very strong position. We didn't get a question in with Novak, unfortunately, but we did get a question in with both Taylor and Carlos.
Yeah, we did.
But before we discuss our questions there, let's discuss that match quickly. Fazan and I watched both matches side to side holding hands. And basically determining what the game that we played was trying to get 3 in a row of guessing the speedometer for the serve. We were getting closer in the Djokovic-Sinner match than we were in the Fritz Alcaraz match, just because they were throwing in very much different types of serves at all stages.
Although actually the one that I got the 3 in was actually in the Fritz Alcaraz, probably a bit fluky.
Was it Fritz Alcaraz? I thought it was Djokovic-Sinner.
No, it was Fritz Alcaraz. But yeah, I mean, they both serve really well. And I think Fritz, as you said, his biggest weapon on grass is the serve. Yeah. And we saw that he got himself out of trouble a number of times against Carlos today, where he was facing break points and he managed to save himself with unreturnables or aces. Yeah. And Carlos is a phenomenal returner. We know that. He's such a great mover. So that was a testament to Fritz, who hit 19 aces today. Carlos hit 13. Big serving day, I think, for both players. And Carlos, like we saw last year at Wimbledon, towards the back end of the tournament, just started serving not just huge, but hitting his spots. And like you mentioned about variety, is just so important against the top returners on tour.
But Carlos, we were looking at it, we're like, oh, Carlos 7, 135, 136, 137. But I remember being here in 2023 when he played that quarterfinal against Holger Rune. And I was watching that match, and he was hitting 132, 130, 132.
So he's always been able to hit these types of numbers, but the problem was that he wasn't able to do it consistently. Yeah. So he would hit one serve. He'd literally try and hit the same serve, say like flat serve, maybe 10 times in a match, and he'd be trying to hit it around that speed, right? Let's say 132, 133. He'd maybe hit that mark 3 times out of 10. The other 7 times, he wouldn't quite, because at that time, his serve technique was just not clean enough. Yeah. So he'd either miss the serve or he would hit at mid 120s, early 120s, because he just wasn't getting a hold of it completely. Now he has so much better control on his serve. As you said, he already had the explosive power. He's evolved his serve so much. Exactly. He's evolved his serve. He's got that explosive power already. He's got even stronger. And now he's added even more variety. And it's just extremely impressive to see. And then behind that, as Fritz said in the presser, Carlos can not only just serve big, but then he has so many different options with the +1, with the first strike. So he can serve great. Okay, he can either serve big down the tee at 136 or out wide 136 flat, or he can go kick it out wide at 95 miles per hour with a huge amount of spin. And then behind those different types of serves, and we didn't even mention the slice serve, but behind those different variations, he can go drop shot off the first ball.
Yes.
He can go forehand out line or cross. He'll even go big with the backhand, and he can not just go backhand or forehand line or cross, but he can go backhand or forehand line or cross with a huge amount of spin. He can go flatter. He even throws in the forehand slice at times to completely confuse the opponent. If he gets a slightly shorter ball, we've seen it so many times. So he will fake to go drop shot or go into the forehand, then he just eases into the corner.
So what I think is a key point there is, I think everyone listening to the podcast knows Fazan's day-to-day here and my day-to-day here.
Yeah.
When there's nothing to do, I'm sat at Orangi. I'm sunbathing at Orangi when there's nothing to do. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't pay off, but it doesn't lose anything because there's nothing else to do. And when I'm watching practice at Orangi, especially for Carlos, what he does in one of the drills, I'm not sure if you've noticed this before, is he fakes a serve. He doesn't have a ball. Yeah. He does the serve with no ball, does just the motion, and as soon as he lands on his feet, on his front foot, from the service motion, the ball gets fed into him in a tough position from his coaches, and then he has to hit a sort of winner out of it. Improvise out of it and hit a winner. And he varies it up, like you said, forehand inside out, forehand inside in, slice, forehand, drop shot, volley, anything and everything. A lot of it has to do with the forehand because he's more focused on the serve plus one on the forehand side. He doesn't really do that too much with the backhand, but that's something that he practices quite a lot. So he said before earlier in the tournament, I think it was in the media days or even in the first rounds of the tournament, he says details make the difference, and that's definitely a big detail there.
Yeah, 100%, and it just shows that practice does make perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think he works hard and he obviously enjoys himself as well, but it's great to see him thinking about the game, and obviously he's got a really intelligent coach in Juan Carlos Ferrero as well in his corner. But look, I mean, he was in a bit of trouble though today. I mean, he obviously dropped a set. I mean, he took his eye off the ball for a game, and I have to give kudos to Liam, who predicted Carlos beating
Round of applause,
Fritz in 4 sets. Yeah, well done. Well, I'll give some a pat on the back. But Fritz took the second set 7-5. Carlos was serving at 5-6 down and essentially took his foot off the gas. He missed a couple of errors, and he just wasn't really. I think I know he got broken to love in that game, and then Fritz took the set 7-5, and then in the fourth set it was toe to toe. Because Fritz was serving big, Carlos was not playing badly, but not playing as well as he did in that first set, where he won 100% of first set points won. Which, by the way, Yannick did the same against Novak, as Liam said. But in the fourth set, the tiebreaker, we thought, okay, let's see how Fritz gets on. Carlos goes 4-1 up, you're thinking, easy to Carlos, and you're thinking, fine. Then, all of a sudden, Fritz wins 5 points in a row. A combination of Fritz playing very well in brave tennis, but also Carlos making some mistakes. So you're like 6-4, surely he takes it, he's got 2 set points. Carlos somehow pulls something out of the bag and wins the next 4 points and takes it. And you can just see the disappointment on Fritz's face. We'll talk about his presser in a second. But, I mean, what were your thoughts on the match as well? And, I guess that set of tennis?
I think it went exactly like I expected it to. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm bad. But today I was good. No, I think Carlos, he has this matchup in the bag if he's concentrated the entire way throughout.
Yeah.
He did have that little dip, like a couple of unforced errors, good return from Fritz. There you go, you get your one break. Fritz held his serve throughout that set, and then that just makes the difference. Yeah. Then he woke up again in the third, and basically cruised through that. In the fourth, it was just tight. He went up very early in that tie break, 4-1 up. Mm-hmm. Taylor responded very strongly, winning the next 5. And you would think, okay, well, Taylor's got a big serve, so he will get, he should be able to get a 3 points, maybe, hopefully, on set point. Doesn't. Carlos makes him work for it. Carlos then gets a big serve in, gets it to 6-all. And then we know Carlos in these clutch moments. Yeah. When it's really, really, really tight, Carlos does come out on top. Yeah. And Taylor said he would have, we'll talk about his presser now. Yeah. He said he would have liked to go to a 5th because he didn't know about Carlos's amazing 5th set record. So he would have preferred to go into that 5th set because he had no idea before going into that match. He was, I asked Taylor, I was like, what could you have done differently to change the outcome of the match. And he was like, you know what, anything I might have changed tactically here would have only worked for 1 or 2, maybe 3 points.
Yeah.
Because Carlos is such a good player. He's such a talent. He would have adapted very quickly, and then I'd be back at the drawing board.
Yeah.
I think he said he just needs to... The big difference is the movement from both of these players and his ability to return Carlos's serve a lot deeper into the court than just placing it back. Because once he places it back, Carlos has his serve +1 and you know, Bob's your uncle.
Because he essentially said, and we heard him in the previous presses earlier in this tournament say that, for example, against Pericard and others, Diallo as well, when he went 5 sets, he said against those guys,
you can just chip
I'm just going to chip it and block it back because I know that
it's so big.
I have to do it so big that I'm going to do that and then I can get to the point. Against Carlos, who's probably serving as big as Diallo was, he was
he's
saying
placing
that...
it much better though.
Yeah, he's placing it, but also serving as big. And he was saying that I could have chipped it and blocked it, but because Carlos has so many weapons, he would have dropped shots to him, he would have gone forehand, probably winner. He was saying in his mind, he knew that if I do that, like you were saying, he said it'll work for 1 or 2 points, but then I will have to adapt and he'll start serve volleying me, for example, and then he'll kill me. So I don't know whether he maybe got into his head. He did say though that maybe he should have tried a few times to chip and block, just at least get into the point, and then maybe adjust it from there. But I think what he really alluded to was, as you said, is there's a gap at the moment.
Yeah, there is a gap. Because there's these 2 guys and there's everyone else.
The problem is with him is that, and interestingly, he said when someone asked him about the comparison between Yannick and Carlos, he said that actually, and this is, you guys might find this interesting if you're a little bit technical, but he said with Yannick hits a huge ball, but actually with Yannick, he feels like in the exchanges from the baseline, he felt like he didn't feel super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What he finds really uncomfortable about Carlos is that Carlos, one, has so many different ways to win points. So in Taylor's mind, it's the different spins, speeds, etc. It's very difficult to find rhythm. And 2, he said a good example that he used was that when Carlos goes cross with his forehand, his forehand, he whips it so it actually has sideways movement.
Yeah.
Which is it is similar to what Rafa used to do with the lefty forehand. And what Carlos can do is he can hit a flatter one through the court. He can also hit a more whipped one. And that he was talking about the whipped one that kind of has a lot of spin on it and essentially veers off to the right so you're stretched. He said he finds that more awkward to get back in court than Yannick, who
Yannick's more of a straight shot
through the court, and it's very penetrating. There's a lot of pace, but
you know where the direction's going.
Exactly, you know that it's coming at you. It's more of a linear trajectory.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting to hear from his point of view, and he said obviously in the past he likes to talk technically, and that was very technical, and I actually enjoyed that little bit of tidbit of information from him. But
you also you asked Carlos a question. That was your question of the day. We got Carlos in.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah, so I just asked him about, and Iga, for example, talked about. Well, you asked actually about the conditions. Maybe I was inspired by you. I didn't even think about it at the time, but maybe. But it's fine. I'll take credit for the for the Taylor one.
Yeah,
which seems to be a quite shot favorite now for all of us. But I think I was just thinking about the conditions and the fact that it's been so hot and there's slower conditions. For example, Iga has been playing so well in the warmer conditions, and she said that it's cooler, so she thinks she still would have played well in cooler conditions as well. But actually, yeah, it probably does help her being in hot conditions. So I think what I would say is that with I guess with Carlos, I asked him, look, does the warm conditions, do you adapt your game at all when it's warm on grass? And he essentially said, and it's probably alluding to what Taylor also said in the presser, that I don't really change like how I play. Because he has so many different ways to win points, he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And I guess what's so great about Carlos in his game is that he has a style that is all court. He has so many different ways that he can win points that it doesn't matter what the surface is, what the conditions are. He will have a way to win. That doesn't mean he's going to win every single match.
No,
but it just means
he can fumble some matches.
Yeah, but it just means he's got the ability to do it. And he said to me, I prepare my best, and obviously, I just go into it with positive intent, and that's what I do. And I was like, you know what?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But he gave me a pretty decent answer. You can check that out on the YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And
one thing I want to say is, he can win on every single surface, and I think he's shown that especially this year by winning on all three surfaces, plus indoor. It being indoor hard when he won in Rotterdam. But we will discuss the men's final tomorrow. Yeah. That's going to be our big focus there. Obviously, I think everyone's emotionally just recovered from that last final that they played. But we're getting emotionally ready for this one, I think. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be as epic. It might be even more epic. You just never know. Yeah. I think that's the beauty of this rivalry between these two. They always seem to top what they've done. But even if it isn't as long or as tight or as, back and forth, the level of tennis that we see from the first point between these two is going to be amazing. But we have another final before this. Amanda Anisimova against Iga Swiatek, the number 8 seed against the number 13 seed.
Yep.
Both going for their first Wimbledon title. Obviously, this being Amanda's first ever Grand Slam final. This being Iga's, numbers wise, I can't remember how many Grand Slam finals, but she's won 5 slams in her career. Actually, it has to be her 6th Grand Slam final, because I don't think she's ever lost a Grand Slam final, has she?
She hasn't.
No. So it's her 6th Grand Slam final, trying to go 6-0 in Grand Slam finals.
Yeah. She's been the Terminator in Grand Slam finals.
Who do you think the pendulum swings more towards?
I think on paper is Iga. Mm-hmm. I know it's her first Wimbledon final, but she's experienced. We just talked about Grand Slam finals. So she knows, she's experienced in the scenarios, and people forget, or they might forget, that she hasn't just won Roland Garros. She won the US Open in 2022 as well. So she has won on different surfaces. She went into this with a lot of people not backing her.
Yeah.
One person did back her, by the way. And that's Ash H, who we all laughed at, including Anthony, when he picked her to win.
Well, so, I didn't laugh at him. I didn't.
That's fine.
I probably didn't read the message.
Probably internally he laughed, but it's fine. So he said it on the podcast, actually, at Qualies, when Anthony asked him the last day of qualifying. So, you know what? Kudos to him if he gets it right. That's all I'm going to say.
Did you still think she was world number 1 when he said that?
Probably, yeah. But it's fine. But I think, in all seriousness, though, I think she is definitely the favourite in my eyes. And Amanda Anisimova, this is a free hit for her, in the sense that she's got a free swing. It's her first ever Grand Slam final. She will feel the nerves. But one thing I will say is that she played her first ever Grand Slam semi-final against the one-on-one in Sabalenka.
Yeah.
And she rose to the occasion really well.
Well, she also had a very much a leading head-to-head record against Aretha.
Yeah.
So that does help. This is their first ever meeting.
But you know what? I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was thinking, who does that favour? And in my mind, I actually think it favours Anisimova more.
Because Iga is usually someone who studies players and likes to use the experiences she's had against them before.
I feel like Iga's a bit like Novak. And if you notice, a lot of times when Novak plays someone that he hasn't played before, in the past, he would actually either struggle in the first set or struggle initially, or even lose the first set because he doesn't know. He's almost downloading the information to understand, how do I combat this?
Yeah.
And I feel like Iga's quite similar. Now, she'll know what Anisimova brings because of watching her and her team telling her, but it's very different to experience it in person. And she's played Sabalenka, who's got a similar-ish style, but Anisimova is different. She is different. And what I'm looking forward to seeing is actually how Anisimova utilises her backhand line, which we talked about the other podcast, and the fact that she's got a very short backswing. And Iga's got a very expansive, forehand swing, which even on grass, I know it's been shortened, but if she goes early with that backhand line into the forehand,
it can expose.
She can definitely exploit that forehand and get some freebies on that, and that could be a big factor. So, but the serve's going to be huge for Anisimova.
Yeah,
it's going to be massive. She needs to hold serve because Iga is definitely
the best returner.
Yeah, arguably the best returner on tour.
I'm going to press you here.
Yeah,
I know you've already filmed the prediction, but for people listening to the pod, prediction.
Yeah, so I picked Iga in 3.
Okay.
I think in 3. If you want to hear my more in-depth details, then you can check out the YouTube video or on podcast platforms, the standalone preview prediction. What about you?
I'm going Iga in 2.
Iga in 2, okay.
Iga in 2. I think it might be a 7-5, 7-6, but I think Iga's experience and the fact that in Grand Slam finals she's 5-0 is obviously 4 of them were on clay and 1 was on hard court, but I think she's got the experience I think that is necessary to win here.
Yeah.
Although, you know, she's won junior Wimbledon, but it's a different story.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tight straight sets win. Straight sets nonetheless. Might be wrong. I was right on the money for Carlos Fritz, so I'll be proud with that. But tomorrow Fazan will be like, oh, well, you know, you were completely off in Iga Anisimova because Anisimova won in 3 or something like that. So we will see.
You could be right. I mean, I think she definitely... The finals record, I think, puts in really good stead. The confidence that she'll have for that is huge, definitely.
Yeah, but I think with that, we will be looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we get on court for it. We didn't manage to get on court for any of the matches today. We watched them on the TV in the media centre. But hopefully we manage to get on court tomorrow to watch those. And as always, thank you guys so much for supporting us and giving us the opportunity to be here through the support that you provide to the channel. And yeah, let's see if our predictions are correct or whether, you know, neither of them win and we're both wrong. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting day. Today was definitely very much exciting, and from an aspect of the new guard, just showing that they're completely taking over between Carlos and Yannick. Any closing thoughts, Fazan?
No, just make sure you guys obviously like this video if you're watching on YouTube, comment as well. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win tomorrow. That's the biggest thing. And if you want to let us know who you think is going to win on Sunday as well, go for it. That we're really interested to hear your thoughts. There's also a poll running on YouTube for the women's final, so you can also click on that as well. Let us know, and we can go over that tomorrow when we do the pod and see whether you guys were right or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the women's final. I'm hoping very optimistically that we will get on court. We shall see.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be a bit of a battle, but we managed to last year get both of us on court at least at some point during the match, so hopefully that's the case this year as well. Sunday's a different story. We can visit that tomorrow.
But,
guys,
thank you guys so much.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good one.